The trouble with sheep. Thomas's driver held a newspaper in his hand. "There's a stray dog chasing sheep in the valley," he remarked. "Let's hope it's caught before any harm's done." The fireman agreed, but Thomas wasn't worried. "Dogs don't bother me," he thought. "I just blow steam at them, like Toby did with that bull. That would show them what's what." The signal alarm dropped. Thomas set off happily with Annie and Clarabelle. Beyond the top of the valley Bertie came towards them by a road. Thomas whistled cheer. Bertie too was in return, and his driver waved to them from his window. A little way along the line, Thomas heard a dog barking. It seemed to come from far ahead. He took no notice at first, until, suddenly, a short distance in front, the hedge beside the line seemed to bulge towards them. A sheep appeared, struggling, and another jumped over it and ran onto the track. And all at once, a small flock seemed to overflow across the line. A black and white dog followed, barking furiously. "Whoa, Thomas!" called his driver. But Thomas didn't need telling. Running his brakes, he came to a standstill as quickly as he could. Several passengers looked out the carriage windows to see what was happening. The dog stopped barking. Thomas found that he didn't need to blow steam at him. As soon as the dog saw Thomas, it turned and ran quickly through the gap in the hedge and across the field. But the poor sheep, thoroughly confused and frightened, didn't know what to do. Some ran along the line. Some stood quivering in fright, while others, braver than the rest, just went a little way off and began to eat the grass on the cutting. "I know whose sheep these are," said the fireman. "He lives just over there. I'll nip across and get help." He was soon back with the shepherd and 2 sheepdogs. In next to no time, they rounded up the sheep and guided them back through the gap in the hedge into their field. Meanwhile, the guard had been making sure nothing had ran into the train. He came back just as Thomas's driver and fireman were climbing back into the cab, and the last sheep was disappearing through the hedge. "Right, Thomas," said his driver, "away we go." But Thomas couldn't move. "My wheels won't turn," he complained. "Something's wrong with the brakes," said the fireman. "Bother," said the guard when they told him. "Now I shall have to go all the way back to the signal box again to tell them we can't move you after all. Can you fix it, or do you want me to ask for a fitter?" "We'll try," said the fireman. While the guard trudged back along the line once more, he and the driver got down and set to work. Thomas waited thoughtfully for a while, and soon became impatient. He seemed to have been waiting ages, though it was only really 10 minutes. "Are we ever going to start?" he thought crossly. Suddenly, he heard a shout from his driver. "Got it!" he called. and went back to work with a spanner. A brake pipe had worked loose when we stopped suddenly, he explained as he climbed back into the cab. We'll be all right now. There was a hiss. Thomas felt his brakes come off. Right, said the driver, opening the regulator to let steam go into Thomas's cylinders. Away we go! Get a move on, puffed Thomas impatiently.
Wait a minute,
Wailed Clarabelle. But Thomas was in a hurry and took no notice. He had lost enough time already and wanted to make up for some of it. While the passengers got in, Thomas's driver told the station master what had happened. Come along, Thomas hissed impatiently. We can't, Thomas, said the driver. We haven't had the all clear from the guard yet. He suddenly stopped and clapped his hand to his forehead. Oh, crumbs, he exclaimed. We must have left him behind. They had. And of course, they had to wait for him to catch up. He was very cross and very tired when he did. I'm sorry, Mr. Guard, said Thomas. Clarabelle did tell me to wait, but I wanted to make up for lost time. And now it seems I've lost even more, he finished sadly. Never mind, Thomas, said the guard. It was that wretched dog's fault, really. The signalman told me the farmer had caught him, so we'll have no more trouble. Let's move off quickly, and hope we don't meet sheep anywhere else.